Now, uh, the fact that, say, high net worth investors such as those in this room have misperceptions is, bad for the country, but not ultimately damaging. Unfortunately, Western institutional investors also harbor these bizarre notions that we should, invest modestly in India. So if we look at foreign invest in FPI investment in India, it's barely 0.6 trillion. FPI investments in China, foreign endowments, pension funds in China, is 3.5 trillion. Return comparison, right? 5 plays 14, half a trillion in India, 3.5 trillion in India, right? That's the sort of disparity we're beginning with. It's not some 19-20 ka khel, it's not a closely run affair. We are million miles ahead of China in terms of making money and giving returns, right? I'm sure there are plenty of other areas where our country is behind, and we might discuss some of those areas where our country is behind tonight. But when it comes to making money, mota paisa, bada paisa, over long periods of time, there are very few other large economies where the last 20 years, I'm not looking forward at the moment, I'm just looking back. Last 20 years, the market has delivered solid numbers. I'm not even looking at India's best companies. This is just the index in totality. Okay? So I thought let's start with the backward looking picture before we go forward. Now let's go forward because many of you will rightly say, ये तो सब पुरानी story है. What's the new story? I think the title of the session is the leap forward, not the leap backward. ठीक है, so आगे बढ़ते हैं. Right? Now we're going to discuss a fair few things tonight. So just to simplify it to one message, right? One message. The easiest way to think about India, and the reason my wife and I migrated to India 14 years ago, the easiest way to think about India is what's happening in India at the moment is very, very similar to what happened in America between 1880 and 1930. Right? So 1860s, as you know, US में civil war हुआ. 1870s, there was still a village economy, right? Regional, two-tower, broken village economy. 1880s, they got the railroad for the first time. So east or west coast, they joined it up through railroads. 1900, they got their telegraph. 1908, the world's first mass-produced car, the Model T Ford, was launched. In the 1930s, their highway network, they call it the turnpike network, was ready. And the reason this is a big deal is every single American brand that you associate that country with, excluding the tech brands, बाकी सारे, all the other American brands were born in those 50 years. Right? Whether it is Kellogg's, Heinz, Pillsbury's, Coke, Wrigley's, Wrangler, General Motors, Ford's, every single brand that you associate America was born in those 50 years. Why? Why is that? So think about, let's take a simple example, let's take ketchup. Right? So were Americans having ketchup in 1870s? Absolutely, they were having ketchup in 1870s. Just that the ketchup market was very similar to the achar market in India today, or the mithai market in India today. It's a regional market. Achar, as you know, right, is a regional market, right? As America started joining up, the most efficient ketchup manufacturer, the ketchup manufacturer who makes the most amount of cash, that guy said, well, this is great fun, yeah. The country is getting joined up, roads are coming along, railroads are right. Why don't I use my superior cash flow to acquire other ketchup manufacturers or barbad them, destroy them, and consolidate the ketchup market? That's exactly what happened. By 1930, one company dominated ketchup, which is Heinz. And it's a ditto with breakfast cereal and Kellogg's, right? So we migrated to India in 2008 because I used to run a company in the UK doing similar work. We used to advise families in the UK. In 2007, Sept, our son was born. And I sat and did the maths and I said 6% भी अगर conservatively compounding करे 6% GDP क्या कार by 2032 when the बच्चा will enter the job market, India will comfortably be the world's third largest economy. Now, as it turns out, I was wrong. It's going to be third largest well before 2032. But I told my wife, conservatively lete hain. If we raise the bacha in India, he can benefit from working in the world's third largest economy in 2032. And if he doesn't want to do it, and if our daughter subsequently, if she doesn't want to work in India, migrating abroad, as my parents showed and you guys have showed and I lived abroad, is not very difficult for an Indian, right? Our education system prepares us beautifully to succeed in the world outside. But if we raise the bacha in the West, imagine working in Chakala, where I do, right? You're depriving the bacha of the world's most, vibrant economy. So on that premise, we moved to India, and the business model for earning a living was this. We said India will join. We didn't know when India would join up. We didn't know when that Ghanti would ring, that joining of India has begun. Because when India joins up, our business model, we would buy, my wife and I would buy 10 such companies, and the compounding of that would be our lifetime earnings and wealth. Right? So we sold our company, 11th May 2008, I got paid for selling my first venture, and we migrated that evening on BA British Airways 138. Right? You see, it's like a Rajdhani Express of our life. My parents, my entire family lives in the UK. We live in India. That's our Rajdhani Express, British Airways 138. Okay. Now, reason I'm standing in front of you is, if you move forward one slide, right? India has joined up in the last 10 years, and we're not at half time yet. So there's still a long way to go, right? The joining up is so powerful that, as the 13th May edition of The Economist said, right, and this is an Economist edition, we played a big role in getting out. It said that not only this year, that year we're living in, for several years to come, this will be the world's fastest growing large economy. This year it's an obvious point, right? We're in December. India will do, I think, around 6.5. No other large economy will even do half of 6.5. Right? I don't think 3.5 be koi large economy karega. But what the economist said is, for several years to come, this will be the world's largest, fastest growing large economy. Now, these are not, the Economist is not some journalist, not some newspaper where you can, pay a couple of crores and thoda sa pause it to unhone coverage kar. It's not like that. These are experienced journalists, seasoned people with a lot at stake. And the Economist says this will be the world's fastest growing big economy. They have thought it through. Why are they saying that? Why are my clients and I investing the best part of $2 billion in India? There are 4 reasons. If you could, let's go for one slide. Right, there are 4 reasons in summary, and then I'll get into a little bit of detail. Right, the first piece, the simplest, I'll start with the simplest piece, then we'll work to the hardest piece. In the last 10 years, we have built thrice as much infrastructure. The last 10 years, we built thrice as much infrastructure as we did in the first 60 years of independence. A lot of people don't realize the scale jump. Right? So, for example, when you go to India, every airport you land in, wherever you land in India, every airport
has been renovated.
Has been renovated in the last 10 years. And renovated is a brand new airport. Bombay airport is a brand new airport. No, Chennai airport, every airport. Right now, if you look at passenger numbers, India domestic passenger numbers have pentupled in the last 10 years. Pentupled. तो आपके शहर में आए, कुछ लोगों से बात की जिन्होंने जेबी किया है इंडिया के एक बड़े एयरलाइन के साथ, उन्होंने मेरे को बोला कि उनका मैथ्स, दिस इज आपके शहर का मैथ्स, आपके शहर का मैथ्स, मैं भी नहीं बोल रहा, वो खुद बोल रहा है मेरे को. पहले लंच खिलाया, अच्छे लोग लंच खिलाया, एंड दे सेड बाय 2032 दिस विल बी द वर्ल्ड्स सेकंड लार्जेस्ट एविएशन मार्केट. मैंने सोचा थर्ड, मैं तो फैमिली को बोल कर आया थर्ड. अब दूसरे लोग विदेशी बोल रहे हैं second largest, right? And the reason they're saying it is they can see pentupled, no other aviation market has pentupled in the last 10. So, pehla part we'll discuss is a little bit of physical infrastructure and why that's a non-linear driver of working capital, right? It's actually a non-linear driver. Thoda deep mein jaye. Dusra hai, we're the only large economy in the world which I have seen in the last 70 years, which in the same decade has reformed direct and indirect taxes. And the result is tax collections are growing thrice as fast as GDP, with massive impacts on a whole bunch of things, which we'll try to some of which we'll try to cover tonight. Right? Third hai, a decade ago, our banking system was as sick as a parrot. Right? Several people across party lines put their careers on the line. They lost their jobs, they put their careers on the line, and they delivered what is today the world's strongest banking system for a large economy. Right? Netflix series बननी चाहिए. Hopefully one of you will make the series. I'll give you the broad outline tonight of the Netflix series, right? Fourth, and this is the hardest piece, this is the bewildering piece. The piece that even people like us who are paid to understand can barely comprehend. The digital economy. We are by far the world's largest user of mobile data, even though smartphone penetration is only 45%. We generate more mobile data than either Europe or America. And we have by far the world's largest real-time financial payment system, transacting $1.5 trillion a year, right? And that number is doubling every 12 months, right? So again, what does that mean? How did it happen? What are the consequences, right? So a lot of the stuff, I'll try to give you some aspects of it, But this is a very rich subject, and on a weekday evening, we'll try to give you this kind of trailer, so to speak. But keep plugged into this movie. This movie will change the world. It will change your and my life.